they opened the fridge, and I thought this movie was in the 80s, but I didn't see any tabs. So how am I supposed to know it's the 80s?
1, 2.
Hey, Linz, what are you listening to?
Brian, you share yours and I'll share mine.
With millions of podcasts, how do you choose?
We are here to help you find that next bingeable podcast.
Or that piece of content you'll follow regularly.
You're listening to Feed Drops.
And I'm over here watching Lynn's dance.
I'm over here recording myself for TikTok.
Making a TikTok.
Welcome to Feed Drops, everybody. This is what we're here to do today. We're here to babble a little bit and then share some podcasts with you.
That we are. And I think we've got two totally opposite spectrum shows for you. However, I'm excited about what I brought to the table today, as I'm sure you are, Linz. And I have your show queued up first. So why don't you go for it?
All right. The show that I brought is called Trash Watch. And I think we can, take a quick second. What do you think that show is?
I think it's about a group of people who go down to the beach and pick up rubbish.
I think it's about the group of people that are watching them pick up rubbish.
Oh, yeah. The watchers of the watchers.
The watchers of the doers.
The watchers of the doers. All right, real quick, before we get into this, if you're new to the show, my name is Brian. I run Stitch Radio here in Irvine, California. My great friend Linz Florin over there runs Growth Network of podcasts in Los Angeles. And we have banded together to bring you Feed Drops. And what this show is us sharing two shows that have been submitted with you in hopes you'll find some new shows to subscribe to and to support. So if you do like any of these shows and you do start following them, be sure to let them know you heard about them on Feed Drops. We would greatly appreciate that.
Yes. And so you heard about what the show I'm bringing, or you heard what we thought it might be about. Brian, what show are you bringing to the table today?
A show was submitted, and it's a father and son duo. And they are talking about things a father and son should be talking about, in my opinion, guiding him through life as a middle schooler. So,
that's a tough time.
It is a tough time. But you know what? They obviously have a very open relationship. Not in the clips I'm sharing today, but there were discussions of drug use, and they just have a really cool relationship. A little bit jealous, if I do say so myself, but B, just what a cool example. And to utilize podcasting to share that example, thumbs up.
Awesome. I really can't wait to hear that. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll dive into these shows. All right, we are back today, and we're kicking into gear first with Trash Watch. And despite our speculation earlier, I want to say Trash Watch is a, three guys and a girl talking about movies, and I get the sense that they probably started with some trashy movies or movies that they felt they had guilty pleasures about. But the one they picked for this episode, or from the episode that I picked, is Ghostbusters, which is not trashy in the least.
Iconic.
Yeah, it's an iconic movie. And so if you are interested in hearing this discussion or any kind of talk about Ghostbusters and you haven't seen it, or maybe haven't seen it lately, put it on your list. Great movie. And then after you watch it, Trash Watch, I feel like the episode is about the length of the movie. It's a pretty long episode, and they go into a detailed rundown from beginning to end. And so if you want to know all of the behind the scenes and maybe stuff that came out in the news later, like, this is a great way to sort of add to your experience of going back and watching Ghostbusters. We're talking about the 1984 Ghostbusters, the first. When was the last time you watched Ghostbusters, Brian?
Dude, long time, man. I would have to, off the top of my head, say sometime in the 90s. I remember rewatching it.
Yeah, growing up, we had a VHS copy that my dad had taped off of HBO. And so in my head, it has that 80s HBO intro, which is iconic. And so the fact that the actual movie doesn't have that is kind of strange for me, because that's sort of my frame. But it's been definitely, I mean, I would say, I'm guessing like 2009, 2010 was the last time I ate it. So over a decade.
Wow.
And yeah, I definitely want to go back and rewatch it. But let's hear some clips from Trash Watch. And I think what I love about this show is they really, they're seeing right through all the shenanigans of the Bill Murray character and calling it right out.
I love that we just jumped to Dana's apartment and she hits the nail on the head instantly with this man, to being like, you don't really seem like a scientist.
Yeah,
you really
'cause
are
she
just
rules.
a game show host. And he is a game show host.
Also,
Like,
I love how this scene starts because it
Mhm.
opens, she's like very cautiously like moving the door open, like peeking her head in, and then it just suddenly bursts open and Bill Murray walks in and just says, please let me. Like it's just
The
such a
one
perfect-
time where he's willing to go first. Like,
well, and I quote,
It's
if
only
anything's
to
going to
impress her.
happen, I want it to happen to me first.
Also, I just want to say, if there had been another dimension in her fridge, he would have knocked her to the ground and run out the door.
Well, they called it out pretty well. You know that Bill Murray, he's a hilarious slime ball in that movie. And
It's interesting hearing them talk about details I don't remember, and it makes me want to go back and watch the movie. So
mhm. That's how I felt when I was picking out the quotes. I was like, oh, this would make me go back and enjoy the movie more for knowing this other stuff,
and we would watch it in a different way.
Mm-hmm. Because
Yeah.
you'd be like, oh, when's the Bill Murray thing where he does that thing?
Yeah.
Well, cool. And we're in 80s movie territory, and we love the movies from the 80s, but also 80s movies are definitely having a resurgence. And so this next clip kind of pays tribute to that.
I love that he makes fun of her food choices. I love that he's like, you eat junk food? What? No, you're so pretty. Like how can you eat bologna and hard salami
I'm
from
confused
Oscar
though, 'cause
Mayer?
they opened the fridge, and I thought this movie was in the 80s, but I didn't see any tabs. So how am I supposed to know it's the 80s?
True.
That's what's so nice about watching a film that was filmed in the 80s versus an 80s period piece, where they're not like cramming the 80s down our throats.
Yeah, there's been a lot of stuff lately where it's like 80s upon 80s upon 80s. And, the first couple minutes is fun, but I fatigue on it pretty fast.
It's hard for me to go back and watch older movies just because the quality of special effects,
The pacing. Honestly, it's often like stuff that we would now do in about 30 seconds. They take 3 minutes to develop.
yeah. But it's funny, TV sitcoms, I don't have that issue. I went back, I finally found the old TV show The Rat Patrol and went back and started watching some of the episodes of it. And yeah, the special effects are crap, but I mean, it was state of the art back then. But it's weird. Pulp Fiction is the only movie that I can watch that any day of the week, anytime. It's hard for me to pass it if I happen to stumble upon Pulp Fiction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a friend who won't watch anything, before 1980. He's just like, it all just feels like it's like I'm doing homework. Like I'm on an assignment to watch this whole thing. But, some people I have a lot of friends who just love movies, and they'll sit down for anything if it takes them on a ride.
Yeah. That's an interesting pull. It makes me want to go check their show out and see what other movies they've covered.
Yeah, I can see, they obviously, they go deep, and that makes, if they talk about a movie you like, that would probably be a fun episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you are listening on the Fountain app, and you want a show where you can just stream sats for a super long time, this is the show. It's a really long show. And so you kind of get some sats out of it, and it makes it feel like you get two birds, one stone.
Yeah, you're definitely going to earn over 100 sats listening to an episode.
Oh man, it's that was, and then you can tip them back. You can boost this show, boost other show, boost our show.
We hope you're listening to this show on Fountain. You know, I actually migrated all the podcasts that I regularly listen to over to Fountain. It's like, if they're going to pay me, even though it's a micro payment in Bitcoin, at least I know they want me as a consumer, unlike some other apps out there.
Yeah, some things you got to pay for.
Some things you do. Well, before we dive into my show, we're going to take another quick break. All right. Thanks for listening. And again, this is Feed Drops. The show I have brought forth today is called The Middle School Mindset. And I want to read just a short little piece of their bio. This summer, we want to show tweens how easy it is to make your own podcast for kids. The Middle School Mindset is launching a 3-episode series to guide you step by step to create your own tween podcast. Now, we're listening to episode number 1 of a 3-part series, but I think they did a really good job at explaining how easy it can be to start a podcast. However, some of the products that they talk about, I don't really get behind. I'm not here to talk crap about anybody or anything, but if you're going to listen to this 3-part series to figure out how to podcast, explore options before you dive into any one.
Yeah, if it's your entry point, it can be a starting point, but then you may want to continue your research and refine. I think anytime you're doing podcasting, it's like, you know, if you know why you're doing it, it makes it pretty easy to make some decisions about different service providers and vendors and choices like that.
Definitely. And, you know, I recommend service providers beyond those that I'm using because I've used them in the past, or I know they're trusted and well respected in the industry. So it's not my way or the highway by any means. And these are the choices they've made to do their show. And you got to respect that. At least they're creating.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to say that this concept of a father and son, a middle schooler, it warms my cold, dead heart, you know? And I think that especially, you know, when we start to hear them talk together, that it's real, real sweet.
Yeah, it really is. And on that note, here is clip 1.
So you come up with the ideas, right? But what do we do? Like before we record, what do we do? It's just so we're not like...
We make like a small outline, like a Google Doc, and like we make an outline. Like we always have a game, so we like always do a...
We try to.
Yeah, we try to. And we always have like a few bullet points based on what we do, and then we improv the rest.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a high-level talking point, right?
So they're obviously discussing planning an episode there, which I give them kudos about because I've worked with some people who don't even do that. So it's awesome to see that they're covering some of the basics.
Yeah. And, you know, you can hear the father-son dynamic, you know, it's like, you know, we always have a game. I mean, we try to, you know, I don't know. It's just, you're like, oh, that's so funny. Anyway.
Earlier on in the episode, he originally wanted a YouTube channel and his parents are like, oh, we don't want you to put yourself out there like that. And it became a running joke that he had a face for radio. So podcasting was their option. And just to hear them talk about that was hilarious. It really was.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I think any family that is that wants a project to do together, like it can only help your communication. You sort of have to iron some stuff out, and you know that seems like a great way to use, time.
And utilizing the tools they encourage you to utilize in these 3 parts, it is very inexpensive. Number 1. Number 2, but what great learning lessons this father is walking his son through episode after episode of planning and thinking about what's coming ahead and promoting what we've done. And I mean, those are life lessons these days in today's work environment. So beyond just the podcast, they're instilling such valuable lessons, in my opinion.
And they're creating, shared memories and putting stuff out there that they can then reference back to remember this relationship they have. Like that's that's a cool added layer.
Yeah, I mean, how special would it be for me to have recordings of my father's voice? Just that would be cool. That would be cool. All right, we're going to jump into clip number 2.
If you enjoy listening to the Middle School Mind podcast for kids and you've wondered how easy it is to make your own kids' podcast, we're here to help. Making your own podcast is easy, fun, and does not cost a lot to start. We're here to show you step by step how we make the Middle School Mind podcast in hopes that you will start your very own podcast. And summer is the perfect time to start. To get started, you're going to need the help of a parent or responsible adult.
Responsible adult.
Oh, we'd better go back to the drawing board.
I really wanted to encourage this. This was towards the end of the show, and it's a monologue that was read, but they have PDF downloads for you. If you are thinking about starting a show, check them out. Download the tools that they've worked hard to create for you, and give it a go. And if you have questions, hit us up. We're on social media. We'll spend a little bit of time with you to help you get your passion project off the ground.
Yeah, 100%. I love that idea because really, and they're sort of speaking to it. This is about community. I mean, they're building a connection sort of in their house, but also outside of their house with other people doing things. And that's the way we work too, right? And so it's much better to kind of work through things with a community and with people around you and build that kind of that web of goodwill and support.
And we are super stoked because they have opted into the Feed Drops community. We will soon be dropping an NFT with their cover art on it, and you might be able to interact with them on the Feed Drops Dropsters community.
Yeah, we've started working with uncut.fm, and we've been developing some NFTs for this community. And basically, each show that we do, there's an NFT being made. And anytime you buy any of these NFTs, or even the ones where if we have something available that's free, they all get you into the Dropster community so you can participate and share with other podcasters and kind of learn about this NFT world at the same time. And we're, quite frankly, it's just getting it off the ground right now. But definitely check out our website and check out the Dropsters community and the NFT information on there.
And if you're going to Podcast Movement 2022, you're going to want to check out, I got it right, that guy. If I didn't get it right, that guy, walk up to him and say, hey, man, I want to be a Dropster. First one's free. He's going to give you the information you need to grab one of our limited edition Dallas 2022 NFTs that will get you into the Dropster community. And, the more the merrier. We're all here to help each other through this crazy journey of podcasting, and things are changing rapidly. And no better way to keep your fingers on the pulse of it all other than surrounding yourself with a great community.
Yes. And, I just did the math in my head, and this episode is dropping the Monday before Podcast Movement. And so basically it'll be around all week. If you hear this during Podcast Movement before it, definitely reach out to me and find me on site. If you're subscribed virtually, maybe hit me up through the app, and we can connect that way too.
Definitely.
Brian will be back here. He'll be way more productive that week. I mean, he'll have actually gotten things done, and I will just have been out and about connecting with you all. But
Lids, that's work in and of itself, and you connecting with other creatives. I'm jealous that I will not be in attendance, and I cannot wait for Evolutions this summer. And that's the next show I will be going to. But no, I'm super stoked that you're going to be there representing you and Growth Network podcasts and Feed Drops. And, it's always fun to shake people's hands and get to meet new people. So
Yeah, it really is. And we met at a podcast conference. And so it's it always feels like a special place where you could really meet somebody you're going to work on a project with for a while. Or maybe you don't know that. That was years ago now. And so it took a little while, but we got here.
And I can't wait for Outlier to come back to LA, man.
Yeah. Maybe we see if they'll do an Orange County.
Check that out. We're going to have to drop a bug.
Yeah, I hate to bring that idea up live on the air, but here we are. This is why you stick around for the end of the episode, because anything could happen.
Anything can happen at all. Well, we want to thank you all for tuning into this episode of Feed Drops. Check out these two awesome shows. Links will be in the show notes below. Be sure to let them know you heard about them on Feed Drops. And that's all I've got to say.
That's plenty.
Plenty?
Plenty.
Follow us, Instagram, Twitter. I lied.
Yeah.
I've got more to say.
You got more to say. See us, hang out with us on TikTok. You're going to see a video of me from the beginning of this episode. Like it, follow.